I have been trying to make a series out of Oxygen Not Included because I've been really enjoying playing it, but I keep getting started and then I'm not happy with what I've done, and so I start over. And I have decided that I'm just going to start playing it and we'll see where it goes and we'll have some fun with it. So let's get sunk into it. So I'm going to start a whole new game. We're going to play on survival, and I'm going to stick with the classic asteroid style. The difference is that the classic has a really large asteroid, and you're focused more on building on that asteroid than traveling to the neighboring asteroids, but you still have the spaced out content of the different asteroids nearby. So we're going to take what we get. I'm not going to change anything here. But this kind of shows us that we start off with our normal Terra asteroid. I'm not going to try any of the harder ones yet. And then it shows some of the nearby ones. We ended up doing something slightly different than what I normally would start with. Our first duplicate, we are going to name Gunder, has high excavation, so they can dig out faster to get us started. And she's going to start with Masterworks, which means we can do high-level decorating pretty quickly. The decreased science doesn't bother me at all because she's not going to be the researcher. Then I have a researcher that has super hard digging, which also will mean we can start off digging into stuff really quickly. I don't mind the decreased athletics. I can train that up. And finally, I have a digger, but they start off with critter ranching 1, which means we can start ranching as soon as we unlock the research for it. Normally, I wouldn't take bottomless stomach because of the decreased calorie count, but I am trying to do every achievement, which means that we need to eat 400,000 calories of meat before day 100, so that'll actually help us in the short term, and in the long term, food won't be an issue. And I named the colony Adventures in the Enderverse. We're going to name all these duplicates. I'm going to name every duplicate in the colony after people who subscribe or watch on Twitch, or just people that I play with. But Gunder, well, Gunder, Demon Lord, and Sai are my first 3 subs, so they get the honor of being my first 3 duplicates. Game starts off like every other playthrough. You start off on a small asteroid with pretty much nothing. So the first thing we're going to do is just kind of explore around to see what we got. The Terra asteroid always has 3 water sources that are nearby, so we can see 1, 2, and 3 up here. So the main thing I want to focus on at the beginning is just kind of planning out where I'm going to be putting stuff. Before the end of the first day, we want to definitely have a bathroom up and running, and we'll get started on our bedroom for our duplicates so that they can start getting their morale boosted. I like to have a single elevator shaft, or ladder shaft, whatever you want to call it, that goes from the top of the map to the bottom, and we want to avoid having it go through where our water is going to be, so probably move it over to this side a little bit. I also want to try to make sure I'm keeping as much as the starting crops intact as I can, because I can't plant any crops until I've hit the locavore achievement. So, let's see. Before we do anything, I need some stuff to build with, so let's just dig out a few pieces so I have some stuff to mark with. Okay. So, I like to keep my building in the starter base I always do 4 high for the ceilings, and I like to do 16 blocks wide. So let's mark that off just so I know where I'm at. So if I put the main elevator shaft right here, oops, it's lower than what I want. That would look like this. It would actually be kind of perfect, I think. Okay, so I don't want to dig it down quite that far yet. And then if I did it on this side, so that's 16. It's actually, let's go 2 more. So I actually want this to be 18, so I want to include the doors. Kind of want to shift that over 1 more, because I want to keep that mealwood. I want to keep all 4 of those crops so I can make that a park. Yeah, let's do that. So then let's double check that. So this should be 18 by 4. Yeah, that's good. And then we're going to have a second elevator shaft on this side. So the base will consist of basically a central column of rooms, and then I'll put rooms on either side, and there'll be an elevator, 2 elevator shafts on either side going down. That'll help with the airflow so that we can get oxygen moving around inside the starter base. Okay. So before we continue on, let's dig out some area here. A few more building blocks. I think over on this side is where we're going to put our bathroom. So we're just going to start pretty simply. 2 wash basins, 2 outhouses. Oops. That's not what I wanted. And we will put a floor in. Like that. Let's also put a ladder up above so that I can get up here to build that roof around. Actually, you know what? Instead of doing that, let's just put one here because I just finish it off. The goal is to finish off the room so that I can get the bonus for the room bonus for the latrine on day 1 if possible. So we'll just put a ladder there so I can get up and build this corner, and we'll be good. These I can finish later. So for now, let's cut this off. We don't need that yet. Okay, so then once we get copper, I can put the doors in. Let's not dig this or any of this yet. In fact, let's not dig any of this yet. I will dig that because otherwise it's going to fall. Okay, so that spot I want to leave because of the park. I do want to get down here to the water. I'm going to try to put all this water into a central water basin. So let's see. I think our best bet's going to be to dig down this way. And dig out a little more so I have some more blocks. And then we'll temporarily just put a pitcher pump right here, because that'll reach down there. We'll end up moving it once we get the water consolidated, but at least that way I can get my bathroom up and running for day one. So I don't want to dig any more than I have to. Let's leave that there, but I'm going to cancel these two segments so they don't come down farther. And then this area is not ready yet. Okay, so let's just let him proceed for a little while. So I'll be back once I get all this built. Okay, so we just hit the end of cycle 1. All of our duplicants are running back to eat their dinner and to get ready to go to bed. We managed to get all of our bathrooms set up, including getting water to it. So some key things we did here, if we look at the room overlay, we're getting the latrine bonus because we have toilets and wash stations. We don't have any industrial machinery, and we're inside the requirements of the room. So when the duplicants use this latrine, they'll get +1 morale, which will help us once we get to our first skill point. So we can pick up their first skill without having any stress, which is very helpful. The reason that worked out is because we put these doors in place, which made this room, just the interior of this room here, and I set the doors to be automatically locked to open, because that way we don't have to wait for the animation for them to travel through. I set both of the wash basins to require hand washing only when they're going left. So basically when the duplicants come in, they do their business. On their way out, they wash their hands. It's just a default way to set it up. I don't really worry too much about germs. In fact, I turned off disinfection because it's not a big deal till later in the game. Even then, it's not even really a big deal. After that, we got started on working on the bedroom, but we did not quite have enough time to get bedroom set up. We're going to go just to get a barracks set up to start. So this room just has to be, we look at the requirements for barracks, it has to be under 64 tiles. So we'll end up getting 8 beds into a room that fits for that. But for now, we just want to get those 3 done, and then we'll work on expanding it later. But so we're going to let the duplicants run off and do their daily routine, and then we'll start on cycle 2 when I come back. about to start cycle number 2. While the duplicates were asleep, I started setting up my new schedules. So the way I work the schedules is I always leave the default schedule so that when new duplicates are added to the colony, they fall right onto the default schedule. I don't make any changes to it. It's just there as a placeholder until I find a spot for them to work. And then I create 4 shifts. So what I've done with that is I have shifts that start, we have our normal daytime shift. Then we have people that are starting work around lunchtime, dinner time, and then night shift. And the idea is that the bedtimes never overlap, so we don't have too many duplicates sleeping all at once. I also increase from the default downtime of 2, I increase it to 3 right off the bat. It gives us a little more time for the duplicates to make sure that they get all their daily things in, eating, bathroom, sleeping, or getting ready to sleep, and then they sleep. Doing the 3 downtime slots instead of 2 gives you an extra +2 for morale, so that will also help us out once they get onto their schedules to increase this morale even farther. Now that everybody has woken up from their first day, I'm going to place these duplicates on their shifts. So I'm going to put on night shift because, frankly, he'll yell at me if I don't. I'm going to put Demon on the first shift and Gunder on the second shift. So now going into cycle 2, when, let's look at Demon, for example, is right on his normal bath time routine, and then he'll go back to sleep pretty much the same time he did on cycle 1. But for Gunder, she's going to go immediately right back into some downtime and then go to sleep. And then she'll start her day. And Sai is going to have the long day of going through his day and then starting his sleep in the evening and then working all night. And you can see how the indicator for what time of day it is goes through each of the schedules, so you can easily see it. And so our next person that will be going to sleep is Gunder on schedule 2. So we now have a bed set up for her, so at least the first time she goes to bed on her new schedule, she will have a cot to sleep in. You can see her up here chilling. She's on her downtime. She's not doing anything because she's already done the bathroom. She's already done her food. So she's just waiting to head to bed. Okay. So I'm going to queue up some more projects for the duplicates, and then I'll come back once I have some progress to show. I'm going to pop back in to show because we got our first colony achievement. So pop that up and bring it up. This achievement's for bed and bath. So in order to achieve it, you have to have at least one toilet in your colony, and then you have one bed for each duplicate. So once we finish the third cot, that meant we hit that achievement. So that's the first of many achievements that we're going to try to knock out in this playthrough. The ones that we need to focus on early on of getting everything, keeping mindful of the achievements, is these three right here. So for carnivore, we have to eat 400,000 calories of critter meat before the 100th cycle. So it's a little bit of a tough one, but it's not too unachievable. Locavore kind of ties into that. Until we've eaten 400,000 calories of food, we can't plant any crops. And then super sustainable means we can't use a natural gas, petroleum, wood, or coal generator before we use 240,000 kilojoules of electricity. So the main thing we want to focus on is keeping all of these plants that we can, that are wild growth, alive, so we have food set up until we have a sustainable meat source. And then we also have to kind of focus on making sure that we're running our power needs without using any of the non-sustainable fuel types. So we'll start out with just using a manual generator with the hamster wheels. And then after that, we will switch over to doing, we haven't researched it yet, but we'll have some hydrogen generators, which is how we're going to power our oxygen generation.